He gave us basically anatomy 101 of an extraterrestrial. And he said, yeah, in fact, these are the autopsy photographs from Corona.
And did they have any further details that they provided them? Maybe the brain or any other organs?
Yeah, the brain.
Reproductive?
Yeah, the brain had I don't remember how many lobes the human brains have, but they had 11 different lobes of their brain, and they had where their spinal cord met the brain. It had two little bulbs on each side, which they could never figure out what they were. It wasn't like ours, and their eyes were very sophisticated. They had the optic nerves, but the optic nerves went into different places in the brain, almost as if the brain was operating. Their eyes were operating at different parts of the brain for some particular reason.
Fascinating.
Yes.
And were there any reproductive organs, or did they get a sense of?
They didn't find. No, I wasn't briefed on anything like that. And none of them were females. So they I think the EBA ones told them that there were females, but there wasn't any females on any of these crafts.
They were all male?
Yeah, they're all males.
Did they have penises? Or?
Yeah, they did. They had a reproductive gland. Okay. They didn't call it a penis. They called it a reproductive gland.
Okay.
It was in the body. And I guess at the time it came out, that's what they figured. Their muscles were extremely fibrous. I remember that, especially the leg muscles. They weren't bulky, but they were strong. They were fibered, which I guess gave them more strength than what our muscles. They didn't have ears, but they had a canal with an organ or gland, I think they call it, a little bulb that they think was what they could hear out of. But they didn't have vocal cords like we had. Their vocal cord, they didn't have any. So this another thing that was brought in the briefing was very fascinating to me. When this creature was found, he couldn't communicate other than hand signals. So when he was taken in to Los Alamos, to a medical facility at Los Alamos, and examined. Of course, the physicians didn't know what they were examining. They figured out, they eventually were able to communicate through sign language. And eventually, somehow, somebody figured out how to do an operation on the vocal cord or insert something in there so it could talk, so it could make sounds. And I don't know how they did that.
Did this living ET share how they communicated with each other?
Through, I guess, well, I wasn't directly ever briefed on that, but I found out some years later that they did it telepathically.
Were there any humans that became adept at doing that with them?
Yes, there was the handler. This the Eben that lived, the Eben one, he had an Air Force captain that was assigned to him, and the captain was a linguist, spoke I don't know how many different languages, but he was also an intelligence officer, and he was able to build a really good rapport with the Eben, and was able to communicate far more communications than anyone else could. And he actually lived with this Eben for I think the 3 or 4 years until it died.